Here on Good Sport Reviews, we've done a list about teams who have never played in the Premier League. And as a lot of you have pointed out, football didn't start in 1992, and you're absolutely right. Since 1888, football's been a dominant force here in England. And during that incredible stretch of time, almost every club has played in England's top flight at one point or another. But that doesn't mean everyone has. Today I've picked 10 clubs who have become staples in the English footballing pyramid but have never been able to climb to the very top. It's in no particular order, and there are definitely other sides who have never made it to the top, but these are the ones who I feel need a mention. Welcome to Good Sport Reviews. My name is Lewis, and this is 10 teams who have never played in the top flight. And before we get into it, please make sure to click subscribe and you'll be in the top flight around here. I really struggle with these now, but yeah, just click subscribe. It helps out massively. Thank you. Number 10, Accrington Stanley. The original Accrington FC were one of the founding members of the Footballing League back in 1888, but following their resignation 5 years later, a club called Stanley Villa took the town name to become Accrington Stanley. Following this, the side joined the Lancashire Combination in 1900 and bounced between it and the Lancashire Combination Division 1 before they were invited to play in the newly formed Football League Third Division in 1921. Following this, they spent 30 seasons in the division, which would have been more had competitive football not been stopped during 1939 to 1946 due to World War II. They were relegated several times, including when the club folded in 1966 and had to be reformed in 1968. They've worked their way back up the divisions throughout the years, but because of their yo-yo attitude at times, they have never made it higher than the EFL League One, which they were relegated from in 2023. Number 9, Barrow FC. Barrow FC have existed since 1902, with the Bluebirds winning 2 FA trophies, a Lancashire Senior Cup and a Peter Swale Shield. But one thing that they can't put on their CV is a season in the top flight of English football, with the club only getting as high as 8th place in Division 3 all the way back in 1968. Since then, Barrow have bounced between multiple divisions, going all the way down to the Alliance Premier League and bouncing back up to the EFL League 2 in 2021. Their most recent campaign ended in 8th place finish, with top scorer Keane Spence leading the line, and this shows that things are looking positive for the once lower league outfit, but will they ever make a debut in the top flight? We're not too sure. Number 8, Burton Albion FC. 1950. That was the year that Burton Albion were founded, and during their 74-year lifespan, the club have never ventured higher than 20th in the Championship. And while that's still a remarkable feat, given the fact that they were playing in the Conference League just 7 years before, it still isn't the top flight of English football. Over the years, Burton Albion have mostly occupied the lower division of English football, like the Southern League Division 1 North and the Southern League Premier Division. Despite this, they have achieved success under a multitude of managers, like the Southern League Cup under Nigel Clough and the Staffordshire Senior Trophy under Reg Weston. The Brewers currently occupy 20th place in League One, and maybe one day we'll see them back in the Championship, but perhaps England's top division remains too far out of reach. Number 7, Rochdale AFC. If this is anything like my FIFA career mode, Rochdale would have made the Premier League a long time ago. Maybe my CV should be considered for the job. However, the side have never made England's top flight, despite being around since 1907. Things haven't looked great in recent years for the Dale, with the club being relegated twice in 3 seasons, dropping from the EFL League One right down to the National League. And before the introduction of the Premier League in 1992, the club spent 18 years in the Football League 4th Division before it was renamed in 92 to the 3rd Division, where they spent another 18 years, even after it was renamed. Promising players have been through the door at Rochdale, but the 1962 League Cup runners-up have never been able to mount a sustained challenge for the top flight. Number 6, Wickham Wanderers. Between 1992 and 1994, Wickham Wanderers achieved back-to-back promotions, going from the Conference League to Division 2, and this was their first taste of the top 4 leagues of English football, with the club spending their entire lifespan in the lower divisions before this. Since this latter promotion, the side have yo-yoed slightly between Leagues 1 and 2, being promoted, promoted and relegated again in consecutive seasons between 2009 and 2012. They have gone on to achieve promotion into the Championship in 2020 by beating Oxford United in the playoffs before being relegated the following season. Since this, they have finished 6th, 9th and 10th, and fans are hopeful their side can make a push for the promotion spots once again. Number 5, Morham FC. A pattern between a lot of these clubs is that they've occupied the lower divisions for a majority of their club's history, and this is the same for Morham FC, with the Shrimps only gaining promotion into the top 4 divisions in 2007. Before this, they won the FA Trophy in 1974 after beating Dartford 2-1 in the final, but despite this and their Conference League Cup in 1998, the club have never been in a stable enough or backed enough position to fight for promotion higher than League One. Players like Cole Stockton and Kevin Ellison have helped push the club in a positive direction at times, but their relegation to League Two in 2023 has pushed them further away from the upper levels of the English game. Number 4, Harleypool FC. I don't know about you, but when I hear Hartlepool, I think of Jeff Stelling and him basically himself with excitement when they beat Wimbledon 1-0. The man deserves a goddamn knighthood. Other people may remember Hartlepool as the team who ventured through the division since their founding in 1908 and have got as high as 6th in Division 2 in 2004. However, despite boasting players like Adam Boyd, Ken Johnson and Richie Humphreys, they have never found a way into the Championship. They came close in 2005 and they finished 8th, and since then they have slipped down the table, and the league being relegated 4 times since this and promoted twice, with the club currently occupying the National League after finishing 12th last season on 60 points. Number 3, Rotherham United. If you want to get technical about it, Rotherham United have competed in Division 1, but at the time, that was before it was called the Championship, as it was between 2002 and 2004, where they spent 3 seasons in the division before being relegated during the 04-05 season after finishing rock bottom of the league with only 29 points. Before this, they spent the majority of their time bouncing between Divisions 2 and 3, spending 17 years in Division 2 from 1951 to 1968, and multiple promotions and relegations, keeping them in and around Division 3. And in recent years, that hasn't changed, with the Millers being promoted 3 times and relegated 4 times in the past 8 seasons. They'll spend next season in League 1, and unless the constant yo-yoing comes to a stop, they will never reach the Premier League. Number 2, Exeter City. At the start of their lifespan, Exeter City played in the Southern Football League Division 1, which they occupied from 1908 to 1920, with all competitive football stopping for 6 years during World War II. Since then, they have been lower league regulars after not being accepted to join the newly formed 3rd Division in 1958. They had to continue in Division 4, which they gained promotion out of just 6 years later. They did at one point reach Division 2 in 1992, following the formation of the Premier League, but they would only remain there for 2 years before being relegated in 22nd place. Since then, the club, which boasted great players like Alan Banks and Tony Kello, have never made it higher than 8th in League 1, which is a league they currently play in today. And number 1, Wrexham FC. It feels like a matter of when, not if, Wrexham will ever make it to the top flight of English football. Since the takeover from Deadpool and Mac, the club have been on an upwards trajectory, which doesn't look like stopping, with them achieving back-to-back promotions in the last 2 seasons. However, despite being the 3rd oldest association football club in the world, they've never played in the top flight during their 159-year history. The closest they came was in 1997, when they finished 7th in the 2nd Division, but since then the Red Dragons have slipped down the league pecking order, suffering multiple relegations, which put them in the Conference/National League, where they spent 15 years. They will play the 2024-25 season in League 1 for the first time since 2005, and with the backing of the club and improvements to the facilities and players, they are capable of playing in the Premier League sooner rather than later. And that's our list. If you are new around here, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 now, so let's see if we can make that happen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.